Hello, you are looking at two different LEGO fire stations made about 22 years apart from each other, with the intention of entertaining the question, has LEGO gotten worse over time? I chose fire stations because they've been making them for decades and decades and decades, and it's also a very neutral kind of subject because the whole fire theme is something that's enjoyed by people of all ages, and it crosses cultural boundaries and regional boundaries and such. And this over here on the right is just the latest fire station that they came out with for the 2016 season. For a comparison to the LEGO of old, how LEGO used to do things, I chose this one from 1994, and I'm very, very confident in this choice and why I made this choice. First of all, it is the last of the truly classic styled LEGO fire stations, with everything being 4 wide with the vehicles and such, and it's the largest, physically the largest, visibly the largest, so it has the best chance of standing up against today's larger everything pretty much from LEGO. Also, if you adjust for inflation, which is a must for any sort of fair comparison, the price of this is actually relatively competitive with the newer one. So, with that said, let's talk about some pros and cons of these two. I'm actually going to start with pros for the old one. The number one pro for me being the fact that this one actually included a base plate. When I was a kid, I loved these base plates. I only ever had a couple myself, but they just hold everything together. I mean, literally, physically, they hold everything together on the base of a building very nicely, and they give you this nice print, even if you don't have more of these, even if this is the only base plate that you ever get and every other set that you get or got was small. This just kind of established the road and just brings a whole imaginative world to your table or to your floor, whatever surface that you're on. You know, this actually becomes road, and you just imagine immediately road extending on or going past you this way. If you did have the ability to get multiple base plates of different types, then you could connect them together and you could easily build up an entire city, and that's awesome. Looking over at this one, well, this one doesn't have base plates, however, it has pretty much more of everything else. I think just the visual comparison is unbelievably striking, much more so than I ever expected it to be. This has over twice as many parts as the 94 version. Everything is bigger, and we'll take a closer look at like car versus car, helicopter versus helicopter, truck versus truck, but let me just go into some of the details of this one that make it stand out. And I'm talking about just the building, just the structure itself, the core of the entire set. First of all, this one has this great new fire pole feature, which they introduced for this year, which is actually something new. And it allows you to hook up a figure to it and actually have somebody slide down, something that you could never do with LEGO before. Let that go, and they just spin right on down. That's pretty cool. Down at the base on the first floor, there's this working rotating door system, and you can actually fit a figure in there and flip them around. And there are a lot of little things, you know, nice small little details around the thing. Of course, you can open up the garage roll-up doors. The insides of the garages themselves are pretty bare and empty, almost nothing going on there. Helicopter landing pad, nothing particularly special there. Over on this side, transceiver dish up on the top is always a cool thing for keeping in contact with other parts of your department and such. And got some tools down here and stuff. Looking at the inside of the building, this is an important thing for me because I like to have details and, you know, actual filler elements on the inside of structures and not just the walls, and that's pretty much it. So down at the first floor, got a little waiting area with potentially a coffee maker or a water fountain set up. This is your dispatch area, which is decent, you know, single seat there, and you got your little opening to get access to the fire pole, and then upstairs just a bunk bed, and that's it. Up on top of the roof, some more antenna and transceiver dish stuff, and that's pretty much it. Now, with what you just saw in mind, let's look at the 1994 classic fire station in comparison. And there are a lot of similarities, fundamental similarities here. Each one has a helicopter landing pad up on top of a garage. Each one has a garage with 2 bays, although the other one is actually split into 2 separate structures. Each one has a main structure that is 3 stories tall. But look at the level of detail on this. Okay, I actually really like the greenery that's estimated out here. That's a subjective thing, but I think it's good to include just a little bit of flowers and kind of lawn area. Just helps to keep kids in touch with nature just a little bit more. But the helicopter landing pad on the top here is just an H pattern done with tiles. There isn't an actual proper pad. A little bit of detailing on the outside, a couple of flags and lights and things. The door is just a plain door which opens, which is fine. The newer one is fancy, but a door only needs to be a door. Turning this around though, looking at the back, okay, here's your first floor of your main structure. There's nothing there. In fact, it just continues from this nice base plate, just continues the driveway right through into the building. Going up to the second floor, well, there's your break room area. It's a table and a couple of chairs on the ground. And this is the dispatch area, which is fine. Got a chair that can spin around and just a couple of panels. It's a kind of mismatched print there, but yeah, I'm perfectly fine with this. Looking up on the roof, communication related stuff and a PA announcement speaker setup. Yeah, a lot of things are very similar between the 2 versions. There's just less of stuff here. This one also has some equipment inside of the garage, just less of it again, just 2 small pieces. And again, that's it. The difference between these 2 vehicles is absolutely striking. However, I do very much like the old one. It was done really well. Maybe not the most beautifully elegant looking thing, but it packs a lot of equipment into a small space. All of these areas can be opened up and there's stuff inside. There are small details around, hose reel on the back, a little bit of printing there, printing for the doors. I think there were no stickers used on this one. More equipment on the inside. This is actually really good stuff. And you've got the ladder, which is on a turntable, and you could extend it out. That's all really good stuff. But just looking at them, just immediately, the difference in size between the old and the new is ridiculous. Plus, it's not like the new one has no equipment. You've still got your hose reel, and this is actually able to shoot little water studs out. Got the outriggers that can come down. Got a compartment over here which actually has extra water for your stud shooter over here. And on this side, you can clip a piece of equipment to that. These are just small little areas where you can put things. That one doesn't have anything in it, but I have accessories that go with the minifigures that can be placed in there. And then its actual aerial section is enormous. It can be lifted up crazy far. And not only that, but it can also be extended out. So the range and the reach that you get with this really accentuates the difference in size class. Bigger is not always better though, because there's always quality to consider, not just quantity. But again, if you compare just these 2 cars, one to the other, one of them actually has a roof and has more ground clearance that makes it a more fun toy to actually physically play with for kids, because remember, this is intended for kids and especially smaller children. This one has a little bit of equipment that it can hold in the back. This one has a little bit of equipment that it can hold. Plus it has this light bar, which actually has some nice parts used for it. I think that this makes for a little bit better toy, but for me personally, I don't see a huge advantage for the larger one in this case. I do think that this would be a more attractive toy for most kids, but I think that these are pretty evenly matched, honestly. Now these helicopters are very close to each other. They have very similar overall designs and their sizes are actually fairly compatible. I actually like the spray bars on this one that are able to fold in. The other one doesn't have that. That's pretty cool. The other one instead has one of these stud shooters so you can actually fire water at a flame. And this one also has a compartment on the back which can be used to hold stuff, and by default it's used to hold extra water studs. Other than that, I mean, they both have the spinning rotors. They both have simulations of tanks. They've got newer parts available here, but that's no particular advantage. I think this one definitely has more detail with the engine area, a little bit larger, you know, just a little bit more to it overall, but this is another one where I think this is a pretty fair fight between these two. Now this hot dog cart is included in the 2016 Fire Station set, and there's nothing like it in the classic Fire Stations. It's actually something that's on fire. You actually get a target, you actually get something specific to try to save, and that's something that they've done across the entire line for 2016, and you just didn't see that with the classic stuff. So this is just kind of a gimme for the newer version. You know, it brings in just a little extra add-on of completing the play experience. Now for many people, minifigures are very important, and this is what you got with the 1994 Fire Station. With the 2016 Fire Station, you get all of these. It's 2 more figures, or 50% more figures, plus a dog. Also, there's more variation in the faces here. Each one has a different face, and you have much more complete and more detailed prints, which include prints on the backs and on some of the legs. It's a clear difference of quantity and quality here. So really, if you give this any sort of fair evaluation, the 1994 Fire Station only has a major advantage in the form of that base plate. However, the 2016 version also has somewhat of an answer to that in the form of configurability. It's built in 3 modular sections, so you can change the overall shape and arrangement of what you get. I love classic Lego, and nothing will ever be the same as classic Lego, and nothing will ever be able to replace the nostalgia that I have and that so many folks have towards classic Lego. However, nostalgia aside, it looks to me like Lego has not gotten worse over time. It's gotten much, much better. And the value for your money especially has skyrocketed. Let me know what you think about this issue. Leave your thoughts in a comment down below, including whether you agree or completely disagree with my view. I look forward to your feedback. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.